go because you know what I came in to do.
I don't get paid for overtime. I'm here to fight.
So AJ done the word association thing with Gareth Davis, so he started off. Eddie Hearn, money. Dillian Whyte, ding, ding, ding. And they bleeped it out. Whatever AJ said, they bleeped it out. I say it wasn't very complimentary, whatever it was. They've always had a fierce rivalry. But I don't know if the relationship has deteriorated. I said in the last weekly, I don't want to see AJ get past Jermaine Franklin and fight Dillian. Fury, Wilder, JOYCE is the way to go. And AJ said today, he doesn't want to fight Dillian. Done that already. JOYCE would be a fight he'd like to make. British rival, Wilder, or Fury. That's the way to go. All this shit about boxers being afraid to lose and fans being afraid for their fighters to lose, I'm not with it. I'm not with all this, you lose and you have to retire. Boxing is a sport for really tough men that we couldn't even imagine what mental resilience they have to take beatings, losses, knockout losses, sustain beatings over 12 rounds and then come back, go to the gym and still have enthusiasm to dish out pain. It's a shame the boxing fan doesn't appreciate that more. Instead it's all this, you're finished, you're done. And I'm sure they used to do that back in the day. You know, they used to call fighters bums, washed up, in all truth. I tell you what, this Conor BENN situation could lead to some precedents and landmarks in doping protocol, in boxing at least. It's a pivotal moment for the British Boxing Board of Control, because now they're getting into a very, what looks like a complicated territory. Constraint of trade, for one. It's one thing, them having a beef with Frank Warren taking out Luxembourg licenses for David Haye to fight Derek Chisora at West Ham, because that was in Britain, and as far as they're concerned, this is their territory. You don't bring Luxembourg licenses over here, Frank. And Derek got squeezed out of the domestic scene for a little while. This was the Box Nation days when Frank didn't have much popping over there. And I'm guessing Frank said, look, I ain't got no attractions there. You got to let me have Derek back. And then, you know, they got Derek back. Conor BENN is fuming right now. He's fuming that the British Boxing Board of Control have told the Saudis and everyone else around the world that they shouldn't license Conor BENN, and they're not going to permit him to fight with their blessing in Saudi Arabia. I have no doubt that someone somewhere will advise the Saudis not to go ahead with it. And if they do go ahead with it, they'll either get the Saudis, whatever they call their regulatory body, to license the fight, or they can get a German license, Luxembourg, Malta, or BIBA, and they'll fight. Chris Jr., he could be risking not getting licensed by the British Boxing Board of Control for an indefinite period. How long is he planning to stay in boxing anyway? I mean, jumping on a plane is nothing to these guys, you know what I'm saying? As long as the money's right and the fight's right, they'll travel. A lot of people need to understand, this is no longer about Conor BENN. No longer. And I'm not going to go into why, because I'm going to be repeating my material, and that's going to get boring for the regulars. I'm not going to do that. But the politics, it goes into different regulatory bodies getting in boxing, whether it's with the Misfits and DAZN, promoting a Conor BENN EUBANK fight, Eddie Hearn exerting a lot of control. There's also constraint of trade, suits that could be filed in the board's way. There's a lot going on. This ain't no longer about Conor BENN. There's a big power struggle. It's about Eddie Hearn standing up to the board like Frank Warren has.
Do me a favour. Do me a favour.
Just like I said, Bob Arum has got to take over from Frank. Frank can't do no more damage control. He's been in the front line a little too long. Man down. Bob Arum has taken over. Fight Hype asked, what does Anthony Joshua have to do to get the Fury fight? He says he has to look good, convince the English fans that he has a chance of beating Tyson Fury, and it would be a massive fight for this spring or summer. Team Fury needs to let Frank Warren lay back in the cut for a little while. Let the boxing fans' ire die down a bit. Played out exactly how I said. Now all Joshua has to do is beat homeboy from the Midwest Saturday in good fashion. That does worry me a little, him being a Midwest fighter. You know that he can fight out there, and he showed that against Dillian, and you could argue he's still unbeaten. Like, the damage control from Team Fury is like, like, John Fury really needed to keep his mouth shut. How are you going to say that Tyson Fury needs to sack SUGARHILL over USEC comments? Tyson knows my opinion, and that is all those people wrapped around him want sacking. The full lot. If they talk about loyalty, that's not loyalty as far as I'm concerned. If you are stood up by your man, shoulder to shoulder, you take it all. You are not going to pass the blame or distance yourself from him. Tyson is my son and I will stand with him until the day I die. Well, you're his fucking dad. SUGARHILL is his trainer. You, Team Fury, tried to embroil SUGARHILL into something that he wasn't prepared to tarnish his name for. Maybe you should have asked him before, can you just say you're coming over to train us? And at least give him the option to say, okay, I'll cover for you. But nah, you deceived the press with the camp photos, and Frank Warren was saying, look, SUGARHILL's in here to train with him. Of course Fury wanted to fight. And SUGARHILL didn't want to get caught up in it. He has a reputation. Maybe reputation isn't important to John Fury or Tyson Fury. It clearly isn't. Remember he said that he was training with Conor McGregor, and Conor McGregor said, no, I'm not training with him. This guy just randomly lies. SUGARHILL don't want no part of that. Maybe you should sack him. He was only here for a Coley. He would have got found out if he said he was training Tyson Fury as well. He would have got found out. For a start, there's his return ticket, which I believe was booked for Tuesday gone. Someone would have exposed this. He done the right thing. John should have kept his mouth shut. That's embarrassing. The other month, Fury said he was going to get Isaac Lowe to train him. You should have Isaac Lowe to train you, because he would have covered for you. He would have said, yeah, I'm here to train him. Yeah, he would have covered. He would have definitely covered. Even if it meant perjuring himself on the witness stand. So the main event Saturday, Anthony Joshua versus Jermaine Franklin. We've discussed that already. We broke that down. AJ, 11 pounds heavier than he was against Usyk, and he looks shredded. Jermaine is 23 pounds lighter than when he fought Dillian, and you can see the marked difference in his physique. Interesting. One's going for power, one's going for speed, it looks like. Fabio Wardley versus Michael Coffey, chief support. Coffey's a big guy. Wardley, British champion. He's got a mean streak. He's got power. Coffey, he can hit as well. Should be a good heavyweight scrap there. Wardley has to be favoured to win it. Still unbeaten, British champion. Coffey coming off a couple of recent defeats. I like Michael Coffey. Seems like a good guy, Marine, well-spoken, but good luck on Philly shelling. Not really Philly shelling, shoulder rolling. Fabio Wardley's right hand. I mean, it's a fast punch and he gets pretty mean when he's fired up. Fabio might be against the best counter-puncher he's faced though. So, being that he's very inexperienced apart from the white-collar fights, that inexperience could show up. Could show up any fight, anytime soon. Coffey a little on the slow side, 36 years of age, 3 defeats in his last 4. Fabio 14 knockouts in 15. Should be looking to extend that to 15 knockouts and 16 wins. If it goes to points, I'll be surprised, and if it does, I will actually expect Michael Coffey to be in the running. A close decision. What way it goes, I don't know. I say that because I assume if it goes the distance, Coffey's going to be giving him trouble. And Nathan Gorman was catching Fabio so easily with that right uppercut and them left hooks. And his nose was busted pretty bad. I don't think Michael Coffey has the same hand speed as Nathan though. But nevertheless, he's a big guy with a big long reach, which I'm not sure if he's got the speed to utilize, but it's there. And in theory, he should be utilizing that to keep distance between himself and that powerful right hand that Fabio has. Fabio will go looking for a fight. And I know Coffey's lost 3 times in his last 4, but he has the physical dimensions, I believe, to make it difficult for Fabio up close. But in all truth, looking at the form, they probably picked Michael at the right time, getting on in age, lost 3 out of his last 4. They haven't brought him over here to derail the British champion with all the big fights ahead of Fabio against the likes of Fraser Clark and David Adilier. Nathan bulked up to fight Fabio, and he busted up Fabio's nose pretty bad. He came in at near 270, Nathan. And Coffey is 270, but he's more an authentic 270 than Nathan, the big man, and it showed on the scale. Fabio came in at 142. There's a 27-pound advantage for Coffey. The Nick Webb fight, he also had a few shaky moments with Eric Molina. These are good tests for Fabio right now. These are good tests. You know, outside him defending his British title, these are good tests. Felix Cash pulled out of his European middleweight title challenge against Sinyagi. Galal Yafai replaces him. Austin Amo Williams takes on River Wilson Bent. Should be a routine victory. River recently lost to Shiraz, the Queensbury prospect, at 160 comprehensively, and with Amo Williams' power, you have to favour a stoppage win for Amo in the first half of the fight. We've got Campbell Hatton on there, John Hedges, Jordan Flynn versus Kane Baker, and a couple of names I've never heard of. Not the greatest domestic card, but, you know, they got to pay AJ. It's really all eyes on the main event, isn't it? That's what it's all about. For a flyweight like Sonny, there's not a better platform than DAZN. There isn't. The stars they've produced on there in the fights, whether you're talking about Chocolatito, Estrada, Bam Rodriguez, coming out of nowhere, Rung Vasai, Quadras, all been showcased on DAZN. Martinez, this is the spot. This is the spot for Sonny Edwards. And you can see what it meant to him, getting on that DAZN stage, being introduced, the new signing. DAZN get back a world champion.
Yeah, I think I've done a lot in the last couple of years to sort of prove myself in world boxing. And now I think I've got the platform, the promoter, and the fights laid out in front of me. I've wanted them, you know that, Eddie. I've desperately wanted them. You know, I've crossed the river, I've joined the dark side, and now I'm ready for for everything that big time boxing has to offer me.
He's cheeky, like, you know, when Eddie said, yeah, there's not many world champions in the country right now, and Sonny said, yeah, I'm your only world champion. And look, well done, Sonny, well done, Jack Catteral and Shannon Ryan. You got a good platform. I would like to see Dalton Smith and Jack Catteral. Now we're talking some good domestic match up there, but is there enough money in it? We might only see that one if one of them's got a strap, or if both of them had a strap. But yo, 140 is no joke. It's no joke. And DAZN, like Ring IQ pointed out today, DAZN is thick at 140. Jack Catteral, Dalton Smith, Liam Paro, Richardson Hitchens, Steve Spark, and even Montana Love is still good for some good fights. Domestic clash with Galal Yafai. The interviewer revealed that Golden Boy at the last minute tried to get hold of Sonny Edwards. Sonny said he heard about it and he didn't want to fall out with anybody. He was talking about how Golden Boy maneuvered Ricardo Sandoval away from him. But Matchroom it is. I wonder if Sky made a bid. So Matchroom have managed to slow down the momentum of Matchroom fighters going over to Sky. They've actually took Jack Catteral and Shannon Ryan from Sky and Boxer. So the interview with Sonny then took a bizarre twist towards the end. Because I saw Charlie Edwards, who used to fight on Matchroom and won a WBC version of the flyweight title. He was on Twitter calling out Sonny. And I said, what's the matter with this guy? And I forgot that they've had some tension, some family issues between them. And the interviewer asked Sonny about this. Did you see your brother? And like Sonny was like, yeah, and I don't want to rehash it, to be honest. I find them things a little disturbing. I don't want to rehash it. And then the interviewer said, yeah, Prince Patel called you out again. Prince Patel's last fight had about 10 people, including the judges and the referee, turn up to watch it. And Sonny said he's got some sugar mama, 70-year-old or 60-year-old sugar mama, financing his fights, and it's just crazy, crazy, crazy.
This is Rack Noble here for Boxing UK. I'm here with Eddie Hearn. Eddie, you said it on Monday, the O2 was going to sell out. It's now Friday. The O2 has sold out. 1-0 to Eddie, 0 to the haters. What do you got to say about that?
It was always going to sell out. Basically, listen, the haters might have won because it definitely went slower than I thought it would.
Today seems like a world title fight weigh-in. That's what it seemed like to me. Like the numbers were huge at the people watching on YouTube on Matchroom and DAZN. And they've sold out the O2. 2 losses on the bounce. It's picked up a lot of traction in the last few days on mainstream media. AJ was on Good Morning Britain, scared Susanna Reid when he started shadow boxing. They had him on the split screen. And while he was interviewing, he started throwing some punches. Susanna got scared. She stopped talking for it. Like the co-host, the dude, I can't remember who the co-host was. He had to step in and start picking up the conversation from the silence. Crazy. Now, Jack Catteral, he was asked why he left Benchilom and Boxer. Now, he never gave a hint that it was acrimonious, the split. He said when the Josh Taylor fight wasn't made, Sky did everything they could in Boxer to make it, but they couldn't make it. Josh Taylor didn't want the fight. And he said he wanted to go Matchroom. And he went Matchroom.
Eddie Hearn, how are you, mate?
And he said there was no mutual feelings between Jack Catteral and Sky or Boxer on the split. They breached the contract. He wanted to come to us, and so did Shannon. And there's more to come. So it looks like he's threatening to take back some of them Sky fighters to Matchroom, like Ben's been taking the Matchroom fighters to Sky. So I was watching the York Hall event, man, on Channel 5. Only per man hit the canvas, you know. It was good. There was a lot to knock out. I was watching it from YouTube until they broadcast the main portion on Channel 5. Abbas BARAO, if that's how you pronounce, dismantled Ferrat Cantona. And he looked decent doing it. BARAO has one loss against Jack Kolkai. He's from Germany. He looked pretty good. 3 rounds. And then you had Matty Harris, who's went to 4-0 now. 3 inside the distance against Milos Viletic. This was supposed to be somewhat of a step up. Matty is 6'8". They haven't got none of his details up on BoxRec yet. From Coventry. He knocked Viletic out in 23 seconds, man. He caught him with a right hand, which hurt him, and Milas never recovered. And there was the short little left hook that put him away. Very impressive. You could see when Cali was talking in the post-fight interview, he just had the cha-ching in his eyes. He's got this 23-year-old kid, 6'8", who's putting people away. I've seen Matty a couple of times now, so we'll be tracking the progress. And in the main event, HARLEM EUBANK, he beat Miguel Antin. HARLEM is now 17-0, 6 inside the distance. Antin from Argentina, he was tough. He is now 20-0, 8 inside the distance, 12 losses, 1 draw. He's 29 years of age. HARLEM 29 himself. It was a good fight. Antin was very tough. I don't know if they caught him out of training because like the body shots were really hurting him and it looked like he wanted to quit sometimes. He went down a couple of times from some hard body shots. George Groves was commentating and he remarked on how when EUBANK was defending and retreating, he kept crossing his legs as he tried to be evasive. And that just led to him ending up in no man's land with no defense. And Antin nearly capitalized on that a couple of times. I think EUBANK has toughened up since that fight with Chavez, where, you know, Chavez was a little dirty and was disqualified for twice punching EUBANK after the break. But EUBANK looked a little vulnerable. But EUBANK, I think he's toughened up a little. His nose got busted. He feinted very well, landed some very good shots, good conditioning. Hasn't had a stoppage since the 2 very good stoppages against Sean Dodd and Viriel Simeon. And he too could get in that shake-up with some of the zone's 140-pounders. Jack Catteral, perhaps. Cali was talking about if the British Boxing Board of Control ordered EUBANK versus Dalton Smith, they'd be up for that. And that'd be a good scrap too. And obviously Jack Catteral. But yeah, that was a good card. And no doubt it's going to have a very high viewership like the previous cards have had. Free-to-air boxing. And it's becoming pretty popular amongst the hardcore boxing fans. I do know that. The armchairs are watching it too, obviously, or it wouldn't be able to attract them type of numbers. Friday night terrestrial television boxing. It's all good. This is getting serious.